Are my judges ready? I want to be an interpreter. When I was a baby, my mom taught me ASL before I could talk. Growing up in Springfield, I had a lot of deaf friends. I've acted as an interpreter for them many times. Most importantly, I want to help people communicate, and I want to show people that ASL is a real language because it's not spoken or written. It's often seen as nothing more than random hand signals. My name is Morgan Breidt, and this is Signs of Communication. My research focused on how sign language can be used globally, why it should be taught in high schools, and how it can be used with young children. It can be used globally because there are universal signs such as help, eat, yes, and no. And those signs can be used no matter where you are, and it will be recognized despite what form of sign language someone uses. It can also be used globally because for most languages there's a sign language equivalent to that language. And no matter where you are, if you know some form of sign language, you can have someone who will almost understand what you're saying because they're very similar. Sign language for high school students would be very useful because there are many careers that deal with sign language, such as being an interpreter or an audiologist, or any career you might want to go into where you may encounter someone who's deaf, such as being a policeman or a fireman or in the medical field. It can help you in those circumstances in which you need to help someone who's deaf. It can also be better for some students who have learning disabilities, and learning a written or spoken language is incredibly difficult for them. And it can also benefit deaf students who go to a mainstream high school in which they can't learn a second language that is auditory or written. Sign language for young children can help kids who can't speak yet tell their parents what they need or want. And it can also help children who are a little bit older who, instead of expressing their emotions correctly, they may throw temper tantrums. They can use sign language to express themselves in a safe way that doesn't hurt anyone or themselves. It can also benefit when learning how to read and write, because if you can see a word and hear a word, you can retain the word easily and its meaning. But if you can also put emotion to the word, it will help to further fortify the meaning of the word in one's mind. Sign language can be pretty handy, was the name of my product. I taught a sign language class once a week for an hour and a half on Thursdays. These are some pictures of my students in my class. We began learning the alphabet, and then we moved on to basic greetings and how to introduce ourselves. And then from that, we learned how to say when we need or want something. And then from that, we moved on to family members and their names and friends. And in between these things, there were holidays such as Halloween and Christmas that came up, and so we learned songs such as This Is Halloween and We Wish You a Merry Christmas in sign language, which we used We Wish You a Merry Christmas while we were Christmas caroling with a few members from the choir. I also made videos that corresponded to the lessons that were taught in case someone could not make it to a lesson or they just wanted to practice more at home. And this is an example of one of my videos that I made. It's for needs and wants. Just go back one. Another important thing
to learn in ASL is how to say need, want, or like something. The sign for need is this. You need something. But if you want something, you use this. You want something. And if you like something, it's almost like you're grabbing your shirt. You like it. You like it. I need some water. I want some food. I like your hair. I need, I want, I like. There are three very different signs that you will use a lot because we say these words a lot. So you need, you want, and you like. I need, I want, I like.
The challenges I faced were several technical difficulties. My camera that I was using to make my videos actually broke, and then I was not able to replace it due to some financial issues caused by a fire that happened, and I ended up having to borrow a friend's cell phone that I used to record and post the last of the videos I made. But I was still able to get them up. And another challenge I faced was an inconsistent amount of people showing up. In the beginning of the school year, my class was about 10 people showing up for the first couple of weeks, and then that thinned out due to sports and other activities and people losing interest, and I understood that. But I did have a couple of students who stuck with it through the end, and they learned very much and still practice today. I want to be an interpreter. I want to help people communicate. Through my classes, I believe that I showed people that sign language is a real language and it's useful. I showed my students that sign language is pretty handy. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions?
How long have you been doing sign language?
Since I was 6 months old.
Wow.
So about 17 and a half years.
Have you done anything like interpreting, like as a job? Or have you just done it for friends? And
Once in 7th grade, we went and watched Romeo and Juliet as a play, and the interpreter that they had there was struggling to keep up because there was a dialogue going on, and I just snuck up in the row and I was doing the dialogue with her, so it was more easily understood. So because there were two people signing, and you can't sign two things. You can't do that. It's hard.
yes.
And so I've done that, but nothing else other than that. It's just
But you do
friends.
want to be an interpreter?
I do.
Do you want to work like at a deaf school or?
Yes, I'd like to work in a school.
Have you investigated colleges that teach this subject?
Yes, I plan to go to OTC where they have a sign language class for interpreting, and I plan to go there to get my certifications that I need to become an interpreter from the National Deaf Association. Any more questions? Yeah.
You kind of touched on, you can do foreign languages this way. That would be like a total, I'm sure, because we talk different, that would be a whole different sign, a set of signs and hand motions that you would use for a different language so that somebody would know that it was a foreign language.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you.